Ṣé lóòótọ́ ni? Àti pé kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ́yìn tí ó jáde láti Kuje? Kí ló dé tí gbogbo ènìyàn fi ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìfọ̀rọ̀wánilẹ́nuwò tuntun yìí? Ẹ káàbọ̀ sí ìkànnì yìí. Lónìí, a máa wo ìfọ̀rọ̀wánilẹ́nuwò àkọ́kọ́ tí Ọmọyẹlé Sowore ṣe lẹ́yìn tí ó jáde láti ọgbà àtúnrọ̀ ìyẹn Kuje. Nínú ìfọ̀rọ̀wánilẹ́nuwò náà, ó ṣe àwọn ìbéèrè àti àwọn ìdíje tó lágbára. Ó sì sọ pé òun ní ẹ̀rí láti ṣe àtìlẹ́yìn tàbí láti ṣètìlẹ́yìn fún àwọn ohun tó sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ nípa ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè wa, ìyẹn bàbá Tinubu, ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ṣùgbọ́n ìbéèrè pàtàkì ni pé kí ni ẹ̀rí náà? Ṣé ó fi hàn? Kí sì ni ìdáhùn tàbí ipò tí àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ náà tó kàn? Nínú fídíò, ìyẹn fọ́nrán tí màá fi hàn yín yìí, a ó ní tàbí kí n sọ pé a ò ní dá ẹnikẹ́ni lẹ́bi. A ò sì ní gbà pé gbogbo ohun tí a sọ jẹ́ òtítọ́ láì sí ẹ̀rí. Dandan ni a gbọ́dọ̀ fi ìdí ọ̀rọ̀ kankan múlẹ̀. Kí a sì wo fọ́nrán náà nípa tí Ọmọyẹlé Sowore sọ, torí òun ni ó máa jẹ́ ẹ̀rí pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni tàbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́. A sì máa tún ṣe àtúpalẹ̀ ohun tí Sowore sọ. A ó sì wo ohun tí a ti jẹ́rìí ìyẹn ní gbangba. Kí ẹ lè dá ìpinnu yín sílẹ̀ lórí ìmọ̀ tó péye. Oníkálùkù yóò lè kọ ìpinnu àti èrò rẹ̀ ní ojú òpó yìí. Nítorí náà, ẹ má ṣe fojú kọ fídíò yìí. Ẹ wò ó títí dé òpin. Ẹ sì kọ ìmọ̀ràn yín sí abala ìdáhùn. Tí ẹ kò bá tíì ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, mo rọ̀ yín, ẹ tẹ bọ́tìnì subscribe. Ẹ sì tan ìkìlọ̀ sílẹ̀ kí ẹ má bàa pàdánù àwọn ìròyìn àti ìtúpalẹ̀ wa mìíràn tó ń bọ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa wo fọ́nrán náà.
You described President Tinubu as a criminal. Was that a political opinion, rhetorical language, or a factual allegation? If it's the latter, are you going to present evidence in court?
It's a statement of fact, and I want to draw your attention to what the NDLA Act states. That is the National Drug Law.
Please be.
No, we're not talking about my case now. You asked me a question.
Yeah.
And that it says that if anybody has been involved in drug dealing, drug trafficking, there's no statute of limitation. The NDLA can still try you, even if you are president when your presidency is over. We can make that point. And in this case, it's not just that. There were cases during NSAS. There was a case that was active at the Lagos State High Court of embezzlement of billions of taxes that were supposed to be paid by Alphabet as linked to this person. And he never handled that case. So they told us after NSAS that the documents were burnt in the courtroom so that they can cover up. That way we have several of these. And what I told them is that, why don't you just calm down? Let's prove this case in court. But when we were at the point of proving the case the most, our attorney was ripping apart their one single witness, a DSS guy who said he found out that I made this statement. The judge got upset. He said, stop. If you don't stop, come and kneel down here. It's never happened before. Trying to ask my lead attorney, Marshal Abubakar, to kneel down before a judge because they didn't want us to present our evidence. And ever since then, it has been, let's arrest Sowore, or they charge me afresh with something new, or they harass me. This has been what they did. Don't forget that when this case started, and you said don't discuss the case too much, I was charged with Facebook and Twitter. They went behind my back and pleaded with Facebook and Twitter not to leave the case, and they settled out of bed and left me alone in the case because they know that we can subpoena documents from these people to show the evidence of their own interference with the activities of these companies to make sure that free speech does not exist in Nigeria. Yes.
do you believe Nigeria today is becoming less democratic than it was 5 or 10 years ago, or are today's institutions simply reinforce or enforcing laws that previous governments chose to ignore?
No. Nigeria had a transition to civil rule. It never had become a democratic nation. That is one reality, and it's a hard fact that we must all accept. The fact that we accepted in 1999 that the military should leave, abandon us with a constitution that we knew nothing about how it was written, printed, or processed, and ask some people to run for election and some people to oversee the election did not mean that we had democratic rule. That is why I have restated time and time again that what we had was a monocratic rule. Morons hijacked the democratic process in this country. That is why in 2026, after 36 years of driving the military out of power, I am still being dragged around by goons carrying gun at the Federal High Court, abducted, held at the basement of the Federal High Court, and with the intention of harming me if I resisted. I'm talking about the DSS. This was what they were doing to us in the university. And we're saying, if you had democracy, there will be rule of law, there will be popular participation. We will have a country where elections are free, fair, and transparent. We will have a country where people can believe that democracy will deliver to them a freshness of life. You don't have that, you don't have democracy. Those are basic tenets of democracy. You know, government 101 in secondary school. So if you don't have that, nobody should deceive you that you have democracy. And that is why we stand, I stand, and our movement members stand, and several other people in this country stand up to tell these guys who are running the country that you are not running the democratic system. Don't pretend that you're running the democratic system. And if you want us to have democracy, we will have democracy. But for Nigerians, you're not going to have democracy you want without confronting the guys who hate democracy. And that is what I see the Tinubu regime and these other guys who are operating your democratic structure as. They hate the idea of democracy. They hate the idea of openness. They hate elections. And they hate the fact that you are striving to get a better country because they don't want that. They want you to live in a country where you are perpetually frying something.
Right.
Whether it's akara, kuli or whatever they call it.
What about the fact that the way, because you talk about democracy.
Yes.
And you talk about using the democracy the right way.
Yes.
I mean, what about, you've often dismissed the mainstream opposition as different faces of the same establishment, basically.
That's correct.
Yet many Nigerians believe that defeating an incumbent requires broad coalitions within that democratic